Hello and welcome to this online session of Web3. So this is session 5 about GraphQL and Apollo Server. So let's get started with this. You can see here the agenda for the session. The first thing we're going to talk about is same origin policy before digging into GraphQL, and the reason for that is same origin policy is something that all browsers apply that makes it harder for us to actually make a client-server solution. So let's go into what that is. So same origin policy is, well, it's saying that it's a policy that says that when you're calling services from a web page that's served from some server, when you're calling services, they should be from the same server. And you can already see here that when I say origin, I say address and port. So the reason for this is to protect users against scenarios like this. You log into mybank.com, but in another browser you have opened, not necessarily even logged into, evilbankhackers.org. And they might, not that I know how, but they might actually hijack your session to mybank.com, and then evilbankhackers.org is going to try to send requests to my bank. And the browser will stop them. So the browser will stop them because the browser has a single origin policy, and it will just say, I refuse to call that thing. And just note this, the browser refuses to call this to protect you as an end user. It doesn't protect the server. It's not about the server not being guarded against getting calls. You can call that from anywhere, but you cannot hijack. Well, you could hijack the session, but you can't actually call, well, the session key, but you can't actually call the service. So, as I indicated, origins. So, origins are protocol, host, and port, or domain, if you like. But protocol, host, and port, those are the three elements of a domain. So, down there we have 4 different domains. So the scenario I talked about before was, okay, it's my domain DK, would be my bank, and then the evil bank hackers would be the other domain. That's not allowed. But it's also not allowed to have the same with either a different protocol, so HTTP versus HTTPS, or with different port numbers. And that is a problem. Because if you are serving web pages and services, RESTful services or whatever kind of services from the same domain or the same server, you are very likely using different ports. So this is a problem that you can't really do it in practice unless you can relax the restrictions. So cross-origin resource sharing is a way to set up rules to loosen single origin policy, and those rules are set on the server. They are set on the server when it serves the service. Right. So here's the scenario. We simply want a new domain. We want to be able to call our services from 2 different domains. Well, now we need to loosen up. Also, the scenarios I just said, we have different ports, which is almost a given. We need to be able to loosen up. So the thing you do then is that you tell the browser we have looser restrictions. It is still not the server that upholds this protocol. It is still actually the browser. So we could do something like this. So these are the headers we're sending to the browser and saying, okay, I'm allowing the origin localhost 5173 with HTTP protocol. Provided I only get these 4 headers and only get these 3 methods. Now all of these could well be used with a instead. For instance, instead of this, we could just have gone asterisk like this, and for instance, in allowed headers, I'm not sure what the reason for that is actually, but that is definitely a place you might want to use asterisk. One of the things we might do. So let's talk about the protocol so you can see what I want. So I return this when I get a request, and you might say, oh, isn't that a bit late? No, because we have a pre-flight. So the protocol is, in pre-flight, the browser sends a request. That would be this one, but I'm not using it here. Sends a request, we return the headers and nothing else. So we return the headers, and now the browser is either reporting an error because, okay, that's not allowed, or we could or it could actually start asking for the stuff. Now, because of this request, it has a domain, for instance. We could do something specialized for different domains. We can have a domain that where you can say, okay, yeah, you can get post and patch, but you can have another domain where we say, no, you can actually only get from this domain. And we can do that, right? It's just an if statement about the origin. So we can do that. I haven't chosen to do it here, and the reason I haven't chosen to do it here is because this is a bit complicated. There is a middleware in Express that's called CORS that we can just use. So here's an example that does exactly the same as the previous one. Origin is this, and these are the methods that we're allowed to use. So that's a much better solution. This, of course, is still not what I said about we can try different flexibilities and so on. One of the things you can do is you can just set various. If you know regular expressions, you might be able to read this. So this is a regular expression in JavaScript. And what I'm doing here is I'm saying the same. I think I might have a mistake about the methods there, but I am saying that the origins, so post and options, that the origins here are, as long as they're from localhost, they're okay. So this is saying that the origins URL should contain : / localhost : so the protocol is before and the port is after, right? So so then I'm sure it says localhost and doesn't say localhost.org or something.localhost or whatever. So now I'm allowing everything from localhost, and the way it works is you get in pre-flight, you get this request. It looks at the origin, it matches the regular expression, and because it matches the regular expression, it will then just, then it will just send the origin back, right? It would just echo the origin back at the browser, who then knows that, okay, yeah, the origin is okay, but I can only use these methods. You also do it yourself. So this is an origin callback. So you can see here for origin that now I am actually using a method. So I'm using a method that takes the origin and the callback. So I get that from the middleware, and then we can call the callback with the actual origins. So here I am looking at the port, and I think I'm not even checking really for the not really checking for the protocol or anything, because I'm just picking out the port, and then I'm saying, okay, if that's the port, you can then this is my origin, http://localhost : the port you called us. So then the browser, if it's not calling for localhost, the browser will still refuse to do it. So I'm just leaving that to the browser. But that's how you can set up calls in Express. I mean, the last one is a bit convoluted, and if you're just saying I want everything from localhost, regular expressions are probably the way to go instead of what I'm doing here. But important at least that you have calls, and you need to set up calls, otherwise you will find that your code simply won't work.